Welcome to this GiftWorks video. My name is Jonathan Lehman, and this is the second video in a three-part video series on understanding mailing types. In the first video, as part of this video series, I reviewed the 4 types of mailings available within GiftWorks: donor, donation, pledge, and receipt, and I also reviewed the corresponding mailing templates and the types of fields that are available for those. In this particular video, I'm going to be reviewing donor and donation mailings in more detail and provide some specific examples of those. And then in the final video of this video series, I'll review pledge and receipt mailings in more detail, providing some examples of those. So let's get started. Let's begin by signing into GiftWorks. I'm going to start by clicking on SmartList, and I'm going to show you a couple SmartLists that I've set up for this example. I set up a donor SmartList called the donor mailing example that has a list of donors. One of the donors we're going to focus on for this example is Felix Tabor. If we look at Felix, he has a series of donations. He has a total giving of $866 across all his gifts. For these donations, this first one is for the Friends of Family campaign, $600, and his other 2 are for the technology campaign. I also created a SmartList, the Friends of Family campaign, which is a list of all the donations that have been given to the Friends of Family campaign. And you'll see this list is sorted by donor, and that on this list there's some donors that have more than one. Felix has 1 donation. So let's begin. I'm going to go to the mailing and click on mailings on the toolbar and go to the mailing center. I'm going to start a mailing. I'm going to do a simple donor mailing to start. So I'm going to say send mail to a list. I'm going to pick SmartList, and I'm going to pick my donor mailing example, which is the donor SmartList. So if I select that and click next, started the donor mailing process. For this, we'll just use send letters only. And I want to show you that I have a list of donors. Immediately by having the recipient list of donors, that tells me that I'm working with a donor mailing. Just so we can just focus on Felix, I'm going to uncheck all these and just check Felix. And I'm going to modify my donor letter template. I'm going to edit that just to review some of the information that's available. So we have a basic template here where you can see we have the current date, and we have some addressing and salutation information. And again, I just want to review the types of information that is available for a donor mailing. Well, really for all types of mailing, you have donor information available. You have general donor information, information about that donor, such as the source and the gender, the category, the description, their profile, so forth. You have contact information, such as their name and address and phone and so forth, and their custom fields and some other organizational information and so forth, which is available on almost all types of mailings. For donor mailings, you also have volunteer and events information. Well, what I want to focus on is pretty clear that makes sense to us. We have a list of donors. We could put on donor information, such as, I could include an address block. But the thing I want to focus on is the fact that since it's a donor mailing, we don't have any information about any specific donations. There is a donation summary fields area where it gives us some choices of aggregate information, such as their overall total giving, or the giving from last year, or the last fiscal year, or the current year. And we can get their last gift that they gave. But we really can't put any information based on a specific list of donations or based on any donations that we choose. It's just these aggregate totals. So for instance, I could choose total giving and include the total giving. So as an example, if I click OK and click next, and we'll just preview this, you'll see for Felix, got his address information, his address block, and that was the $866, which is the total donations that Felix has given. So remember, the point to remember here is that for donor mailings, you can't include any specific donation information. So I could click OK, and I'll cancel out of this mailing. And we'll do another example. I'm doing send mail to a list. In this case, I'm going to click SmartList, and I'm going to click the Friends of Family campaign, which, remember, this is a donation SmartList. It's a list of all the donations that have been given to the Friends of Family campaign. So I click next. But in this case, rather than sending mail for these donations, I'm going to select send mail to these donors, which means that I'm only using the donation SmartList to generate the list of donors for a donor mailing. This is not a donation mailing. So when I do that, I click next. You'll notice when I get to the recipient list, I have a list of donors. I don't have a list of donations. That's going to tell me immediately I'm doing a donor mailing, and it also means I do not have any information available to me about specific donations. So if I go in and edit this letter, and insert fields, you'll see it's the same set of fields. It's the donor mailing. So I don't have any donation specific information. I only have this donation summary information. So again, I can put his total giving on, and I just want to demonstrate this by clicking OK and show that if I preview this, even though this started with a donation smart list and had a list of donations for Felix, and his Friends and Family campaign donation was a subset of his total donations, when I preview this, which I included all these, so I have to go through to get to Felix. When I look at Felix, that it's still the $866. That this is a donor mailing, so I don't have access to any specific information about a donation, even though I started with the donation smart list. So let me cancel this, and let's start another mailing. In this case, I'm actually going to do a donation mailing. Pick smart list and pick the Friends and Family campaign. And in this case, I'm going to choose send mail for these donations. We have a couple options when we do a donation mailing. One mailing per donation or one mailing per donor. And really this means if I look at my recipient list, you'll notice that some of them, this is a list of donations, which tells me it's a donation mailing. You'll see some of my donors have more than one donation on this list, and some only have one, like Felix only has one. I'm going to uncheck all these and just check Rachel, who has two. So we can use Rachel as an example and use Felix. You'll see Rachel has $11,100 in donations represented here, and Felix has $600 represented on this. If I go back here and it says one mailing per donation, that means I'm going to get a letter for each of these donations. So I could send a specific letter for each specific donation. So I'm going to get one letter per donation. So if I click next, I'm going to edit my donation single gift letter template. And you'll see I have some donor specific information, such as their address and citation, and some organization information. And I'm just going to show you on here that although I have my donation summary information, which is all my same donor information, such as the general information, the contact information, and I have my donation aggregate information that's available in all types of mailings. I also have donation fields available, specific donation fields available. So I could still put my summary field on the total giving, but I also could put information specific to that particular donation that's coming from the recipient list. So I could put on the amount, the date, and the amount. And like the fund if I need it, so we'll put the campaign in this case. So I just want to demonstrate that, but if I save that, click next, and preview that, you'll see that for Rachel, here's that one gift of $11,000. Here's our total giving, $11,100. That's our total giving over all time. This is the information about that specific donation that was on the recipient list. Here's the information about, here's her second letter, and it still has her total giving overall, and it has her information about the specific gift, specific donation. And then you can see here's Felix. There's his overall giving, which is it's not limited to just the donations that are included on this smart list. And then it shows his information for this specific gift. Let's go back and let's change this option to say one mailing per donor. I'm going to click next. You'll see now I should get one letter for Rachel and one letter for Felix. So I click next and I click preview. You'll see I get one letter for Rachel and I got one letter for Felix, and that's it. Well, the question is, what is this? You notice I see the aggregate information makes sense because that's the same regardless of what donation we're dealing with. But this specific donation information doesn't make sense anymore because I'm actually dealing with two donations for this letter. It's actually just picked the first one. And so that information doesn't really make sense when we're doing a letter per donor. So though it's a donation mailing, I'm going to use this donor gift letter template. And if we're actually dealing with, we're going to do a donation mailing but actually consolidate all those donations onto one letter, we really don't want to use a lot of these donation specific fields because all it's going to do is pick the first one available. I'm going to go ahead and just pick the date just to demonstrate this. Pick the date and the amount. These are the fields that we really wouldn't want to use. once we're doing one letter per donor, what we want to use is this donation table, which gives a table that lists the donations that are included on the recipient list. And we can customize some fields that are included on that. We'll just include all of them for now. And I'll go ahead and click OK. And you'll see when I do this mailing, you'll see that it shows the 2 donations that are included for Rachel, both of those that were on the recipient list, and the one that includes down here in the specific information is just the first one. So it's really not that, this information would not really be useful. You want to use that table in that case. And for Felix, you get the 1 donation that he's done. So once you're doing one letter per donor, you would really want to just use the donation table. We hope this video has been helpful. We encourage you to watch the final video as part of this video series.